This man you're looking at now decided to live in a cave, and you're about to find out what happened to him. Imagine abandoning everything and living in complete darkness, surrounded only by rocks and silence. But that's not all. In addition to this man's story, you'll learn about shocking discoveries made in caves around the world. And believe it or not, these caves hold mysteries that will blow your mind. Are you ready to learn about each of these mysteries? Let's go. Number 12. Monte Rushmore. In the American state of South Dakota, there is a remarkable monument known as Mount Rushmore, featuring a massive relief carved into the rock. The sculpture stands over 18.5 meters tall and depicts the faces of 4 U.S. presidents: George Washington, Thomas Jefferson, Theodore Roosevelt, and Abraham Lincoln. The project was conceived by sculptor Gutzon Borglum and took 14 years to complete, from 1927 to 1941. This magnificent piece of art attracts about 2 million visitors annually. Few know that behind the presidents' faces lies a secret room. Construction of this room began 3 years after the sculptures started. Gutzon planned a 6-square-meter hall with reinforced glass doors and a bronze statue of an eagle, decorated with columns and stone carvings, intended to hold important U.S. documents. However, a lack of funding led to the project's abandonment. Decades after Gutzon's death, his son decided to complete his father's idea. The room was transformed into a 21-meter tunnel inside the mountain, containing a box with Gutzon Borglum's biography. Number 11. Cambria Cave. In January 2023, British archaeologists made a significant discovery in Britain. In Cambria Cave, they found the oldest human remains in the region. 8 individuals from different periods were unearthed, with some fragments dating from 4,000 to 5,000 years ago, and the oldest from 11,000 BC. From the early Mesolithic, alongside the human remains, animal bones, stone tools, and ceramics were found. A small bead made of seashell indicated that the ancient inhabitants had access to coastal resources. Number 10. Pedro Luca. You are in a dark cave, isolated from the outside world, without food, electricity, or fire. Around you, there are only dangerous animals and insects. For many, this would be a nightmare, but it would only be a nightmare if you weren't subscribed to our channel. So take a moment and click below to join our legion of curious minds. It only takes about 3 seconds. Now that you've done that, let's continue. Pedro Luca, a 79-year-old Argentine, has lived in a cave in the mountains of northern Argentina for 40 years. To feed himself, he hunts in the forest with his rifle and collects water from a stream, considering it the purest and tastiest. To combat loneliness, he acquired goats, roosters, and chickens, which became his closest companion. Pedro has become an iconic figure in Argentina, occasionally attracting visits from local residents who bring homemade food. He chose to live in isolation of his own free will, always dreaming of this life and finding the mountains the perfect setting. From the first day of his seclusion, Pedro adapted and decided that this would be his permanent home. Number 9. The most expensive honey in the world. Known as elf honey, the most valuable honey on the planet, is found in a cave in Turkey, near the city of Artvin, at a depth of over 180 meters. Local beekeeper Gunay Gunduz explains that the high cost of $500 per kilogram is due to the difficult extraction process and the rich mineral content of the product, which boasts impressive medicinal and nutritional property. In 2009, after noticing bees frequenting the cave, Gunduz, with the help of climbers, discovered honeycombs weighing a total of 16 kilograms and approximately 7 years old. The first kilogram was sold for $49,000 on the French stock exchange, while the second kilogram was acquired by Chinese pharmacists for $30,500. Today, small pots of 170 to 200 grams are sold to those interested in tasting the miraculous honey. Number 8. The smallest creature in the world. In the realm of mammals, the smallest species is the pygmy shrew, with the smallest body mass belonging to the bumblebee bat. This tiny creature, with a body measuring between 2.5 and 3.5 centimeters and weighing only 2 grams, was discovered in 1973 in Thailand. Inhabiting caves and limestone hills in the southwest of the country, these bats cluster together during the day and hunt at night, feeding mainly on flies and occasionally on spiders. With a population of about 500 individuals, they are considered extremely rare and are listed on the Red List of Threatened Species. Number 7. Beatriz Flamini. Not just men who achieve extreme feats. Spanish mountaineer Beatriz Flamini set a record by spending 500 days alone in a cave at a depth of 70 meters without contact with the outside world. This experiment aimed to study the effects of social isolation and temporal disorientation on the human psyche. Under constant surveillance by cameras, Beatriz found ways to entertain herself by reading, drawing, knitting, and exercising. When she was rescued after 500 days, Beatriz was so disoriented that she found it hard to believe that so much time had passed, and stated that she could have stayed there longer. She surpassed the previous record of 269 days of underground isolation, held by Christine Lanzoni. Number 6. The Ibuloy Mummification. In the province of Benguet in northern Philippines, the Ibuloy people have ancestors who developed a unique method of mummification that fascinates modern scientists. These unique mummies were discovered by accident by forest rangers in the 1970s, revealing an ancestral practice that preserves bodies in an extraordinary way, worthy of detailed study. During a logging operation, a team found a cave and decided to explore it. There, they encountered oval objects that housed mummies. Scientists, intrigued by the discovery, investigated and found that the mummification process took about 2 years. The deceased's body was treated with salt and herbs, both internally and externally, for an extended period. Then, the body was placed sitting over a low fire to evaporate all moisture. Impressively, the mummies, over 2,000 years old, were in excellent condition, with visible tattoos on their skin and preserved hair. This method did not require the removal of internal organs. Today, some of these caves are open to visitors, but only with the presence of a local guide, a descendant of the ancient inhabitants. Otherwise, it is believed that the mummies could cast a curse. Number 5. Teomim Cave. Recently, archaeologists made a remarkable discovery in Teomim Cave in Jerusalem. They found evidence of necromancy rituals practiced by the ancient Romans. The findings included ritual weapons made of bronze and silver, oil lamps, and human skulls. The lamps were used to predict the future through their flames, while the bronze and silver items served to ward off evil spirits. It is believed that Teomim Cave was considered a portal to the underworld, functioning as a necromantian or oracle of the dead. Such temples were typically located in natural caves, where cultists invoked underworld gods to reveal the secrets of the afterlife. Number 4. Yaodongs. In Shanxi Province, China, there is an ancient and peculiar tradition. Instead of building conventional houses, residents dig dwellings called yaodongs into caves. This practice, which is over 4,000 years old, still houses about 30 million Chinese today. The yaodongs are dug into hills and ravines and can be several stories high if the hill is tall enough. On flat terrain, the houses resemble square pits up to 10 meters deep. The reason for this choice is accessibility. Even the poorest can build a yaodong. Additionally, these underground homes are environmentally sustainable and offer protection against the summer heat. Attracting tourists with this curious form of housing, the residents also generate income by offering guided tours. Number 3. Panta Petrovich. In another part of the world, Panta Petrovich abandoned his conventional routine and donated all his possessions to build bridges in his hometown before moving to the mountain. There, he found peace and companionship with his animals: goats, dogs, cats, and pigeons. His closest companion, a wild boar named Mara, was rescued and raised by him. In his cave, Panta lives with the bare minimum: an old rusty bathtub, benches, and a pile of hay where he sleeps. His diet consists mainly of mushrooms and fish, but he also receives a variety of foods from local residents. At 70 years old, he claims that life in the mountains has brought him the serenity he always sought, living in harmony with nature and his animals. Number 2. Aktun Tunichil Muknal Cave. Back in time, the Maya believed that deep caves were portals to Xibalba, the realm of the dead. To appease the gods they thought were responsible for diseases, they performed sacrifices in these places. One such cave, discovered in Belize in the 1980s, drew archaeologists' attention with its hourglass-shaped entrance. During an expedition, researchers found a variety of artifacts, such as ceramics, shells, ornaments, and small statues. However, the most disturbing discovery was the presence of human remains. In the Aktun Tunichil Muknal cave, 14 skeletons were found, including the remains of a 20-year-old woman known as the Crystal Maiden. This young woman, like the other victims, was sacrificed to the gods of Xibalba over 1,000 years ago. The human remains found belonged to both adults and children, arranged around a central altar. The discovery of the cave provided scientists with valuable insights into the dark rituals of the Maya. Number 1. Creswell Crags Cave. In early 2019, researchers discovered mysterious symbols in a cave in the Scottish canyon of Creswell Crags. The limestone walls were covered with letters, geometric figures, and drawings. Initially, it was believed that the cave had been inhabited by primitive people. However, analysis of the petroglyphs revealed that they date back approximately 300 years and are actually witchcraft marks. According to a preliminary theory, villagers from nearby areas drew these symbols as protection against witches. In the 18th century, there was still a strong belief in witches, and these signs served as talismans against black magic. Scientists still do not understand why the Scots chose this specific cave for their inscriptions, or why they made so many marks. I'm leaving this video that is now appearing on the screen for you to watch. I picked it especially for you. Well, that's it for now. See you next time. Curious one.